Hey guys, this is my first ever blog post. My name is Daniel. I'm a caregiver and an author in Minneapolis, and this is my George Floyd story. In 2017, I was living and working downtown. I wanted to make a difference in the world through nonviolence and compassion, so I decided my thing was taking care of people. Turns out it was a pretty hard thing to do. A friend who is a volunteer with the Salvation Army told me I should go check out their shelter sometime in my downtime, and I noticed there was one not far from my place. So one day, the skinny little white kid from small town Minnesota walks through downtown Minneapolis, headphones in, no street intelligence, just a naive, doughy eyed goofball. And the homeless shelter is down by the Twins Stadium, right around that massive parking ramp that's right outside the Target Center. I turned the corner around the ramp, and there was all these bums lined up on the side of the building and people just loitering around in the street. All of a sudden, my stomach's in my throat, my feet feel like they're not connected to my body. That was some scary stuff for me, and I wasn't used to it. I walked past the chapel and into the shelter, and there are men and women all around that have this edge to them. It felt dangerous to me, and that's what it's like for someone like me. White, male, privileged. I was scared. I said to myself, if you want to change things, you'll be putting yourself into these circumstances. So I stayed, cooked some food, mopped the floor. I came back every weekend, and the cook there became one of my best friends, and she still is. Anyway, at some point I walked through that door, and there was this big guy standing there with a walkie talkie. This guy was muscular, broad shoulders, just built, and normally it would have intimidated me, but this guy didn't. He was calm, he seemed peaceful. It was almost as though he was like this pillar holding up the ceiling, with all of these people underneath it and preventing it from buckling and caving in. I don't remember how I felt when I first approached him. I needed a parking pass that day, and I had brought my car, and the lot outside would require me to have a pass, otherwise, I would have to pay for, parking. He just calmly walked over to this big desk, reached this arm all the way across, halfway through the small room that sat behind the desk, and pulled a pass out of this little drawer. He slipped it to me. I don't think he even said anything, just a knowing glance, and that was it. I had come to know him as Floyd, and this was an exchange that happened often. It was either a parking pass, or a bathroom key, or some type of circumstance which required security. He was always cool, collected, sometimes commanding, but most of the time pretty quiet. He was very patient, even when there was violence in the shelter. I saw him break up fights. I saw him work with the police to remove troublemakers. I'm sure the cops on that homeless shelter beat knew him well, knew his name, knew he was one of the good guys. I still remember saying hi to Floyd, thinking he was this really stable and amazing presence in an otherwise unforgiving place, a place where people go when they're forgotten. He was there for them, protecting them when no one else would. I don't know what happened between now and then. We all fall from grace at times. I know I definitely have. And I don't know the circumstances of the days and hours that passed before he died. I just have this idea of George Floyd in my head, this lawful man, a man of God, a man willing to put himself in harm's way to protect vulnerable people. Some of the other workers at the shelter have talked to me, and they all agree that he would not have wanted the city to burn to the ground. He may not have been born here, but this is his city. He represented it, he was its heart, and look at what we've managed to fill the void with. I don't think the initial reaction was what George Floyd really wanted. I just want to make one point, and it's the point of this entire story and what I learned working at that shelter. Every 4 years, we tell ourselves, I'm waiting for my guy to do it for me. I'm going to vote for him or her, and all these people are going to get help. We drive past corners where people are begging. We pass strangers on the street who are wearing rags, and we don't stop to help. We just think, 4 more years, and this is all going away. But it doesn't. Even if it did, you know, we wait 4 years for our candidate to get elected. Maybe they pass the law 2 years later. Maybe we don't have the infrastructure or the government employees to make it reality for another 5. That's what, 9, 10 years? And you just walked by that person like 5 seconds ago. What are they going to do for the next 10 years? I've tried to save people myself. It's not easy. Everyone at that shelter tried to save people with George Floyd before he died. It was like he was allowing us to try to make a difference. He was that load-bearing wall. Now he's gone, and all I can tell you about him is this. George Floyd would want us to do more as a community. He would want us to come together and take care of each other. We can't wait for politicians to do it for us. This isn't going to change with a signature on a piece of paper. Don't get me wrong, it would help. But until people learn to care about each other, until we don't just keep walking by every person who needs us, this is going to continue. Every day, we crucify people like George Floyd with our apathy. He was a good man, but he couldn't do it alone. And neither can I. Neither can you. Big Floyd, the Salvation Army security guard, would have wanted us to catch each other when we fell. No one was there to catch him. And even after all I did at the shelter, all the hours that I worked, every person that I helped, I kick myself every day because I didn't do more to be there for George Floyd. My name's Daniel. Look out for future content, and thanks for tuning in. Love you guys, and I'll see you later.